I'm very happy to be here talking about the good work of the Appropriations Committee and that good work that has been produced in this bill that's before us for New Mexico and for the nation. But I must mention one problem that remains, and it's a great concern for many of us from the West. Funding for the Payment in Lieu of Taxes program, known as PILT, has expired. These funds compensate counties in New Mexico and throughout the country where the federal government owns a good deal of land that cannot be taxed, cannot be developed, cannot be used to help pay for services like roads and schools and public health and public safety. PILT is a lifeline to my constituents in many rural communities in New Mexico. I joined with my friend, Senator Enzi of Wyoming, urging that this crucial funding be included in this bill. Unfortunately, it was not. I realize that PILT has not been in the appropriations bill for several years. In fact, it is preferable for it to receive mandatory long-term funding. But we must find a solution, and we must find that solution soon. I'm calling for PILT to be included in the upcoming Farm Bill Conference Report. It's a common-sense solution to this very real problem. PILT is a long-term funding program. Our rural communities across the West need consistency. They need to be able to plan for long-term projects. Mandatory long-term funding is the only real solution. I hope that my colleagues will work with me on this. And with that, I would urge all of my colleagues to vote yes on the Omnibus Appropriations Bill.
Thank you. The Senator from Maryland.
Mr. President, if I might respond to the gentleman from New Mexico's very generous comments about the work of the committee, but I'd also like to respond to his comments about PILT. The senator from New Mexico, as other senators from the West, have spoken very eloquently about the need for this payment in lieu of taxes. You know, Mr. President, you're a newcomer here. I'm sure you find that we speak a different language, and our constituents are. So when we use PILT and SILT, they wonder if we're tilting in the right direction. But to use plain English and plain needs of states that have large land that is held by the federal government, PILT stands for Payment in Lieu of Taxes. So there's tremendous land owned by the federal government in New Mexico. Am I correct, Senator?
You are absolutely correct, Madam Chair. In some of our counties, 70% of the land in the county is federal government land. And so what happens, as you've pointed out, is the federal government says, well, because that can't be developed and it can't be taxed, we're going to pay you in lieu of taxes.
But they haven't been paying you.
No, the program, which has been in place a very long time, is expired. We've run out of money, and these counties need to be able to plan for their projects. And so that's really where we are on this.
Well, I think this is an issue of fairness and justice. And Mr. President, I know you come to the Senate as a mayor. I came through the route of starting in the city council. We're local government people, and we know how we had to struggle with unfunded mandates, and many of us have large federal institutions in our state that we love, like the United States Naval Academy and mine, that doesn't pay taxes, but my gosh, we're happy to have them. And I think we have to resolve this PILT issue. I want to say to the gentleman from New Mexico who's spoken ardently and frequently to me about this issue, and to all of the senators from the West on both sides of the aisle, let's work on this. And I pledge to you that as we move on this year's, the fiscal 15, if it's appropriate to be in appropriations, we'll be doing it. But I will also work with other relevant authorizing committees. We've got to crack this problem. It's been languishing far too long, and I think it's a justice issue that if the federal government owns land on which it doesn't pay taxes, prohibits it from then being placed in other developmental use that could be taxed, we have to in some way pay our fair share. Isn't that kind of the gentleman's perspective?
That's exactly my perspective. And these counties, the programs run out. The counties have planned on this money because they've been getting it year after year. And we just have to find a way to do this. And I want to applaud you, Chairwoman Mikulski. There are people, as you know, Western senators, there are Democrats, Republicans. They've all talked to you. We've been talking to the authorizing committees. We've talked to Senator Stabenow at Agriculture in terms of the Farm Bill. We think there's a way this can be worked out. And I'm very encouraged to hear that you also believe it can be worked out and that you're willing to take a look at it next year in the appropriations process and work with the authorizers to see this gets done.
Well, as your colleague and also someone who comes out of local government, who knows the challenges that local governments face, that we work on this, again, on a bipartisan basis. I have spoken to Senator Stabenow. I believe she's willing to proceed on how we could do this as well. So I thank the gentleman for his comments. I think we have a path forward to talk with Senator Stabenow and others who are involved in the Farm Bill and to move forward, and yet move forward on this bill and lay the groundwork for 2015 that we don't have this reoccurring problem.
And I can't tell you how much all of the senators that care about this issue appreciate your hard work on this, and I think we need to stay focused on it because what happens with these counties is they like to know early on, and where the money's coming and how much. If they don't know, then they aren't able to spend it wisely.